Welcome. We're
Welcome,
actually
everyone.
streaming from two locations, Instagram and Facebook today. We are on season 2, episode number 4 of the Let's Talk Show, and we have a very, very special guest today. Esther is here joining us. Anybody who's following her on Instagram, she goes by MommyRN88, and we're so excited because today is just not an ordinary day.
Right.
Today is what, Avi?
Today's Women's Day, and we are so happy to be here celebrating all the women. We actually have a very special show for everyone today. We actually have really cool games that we're going to play at the end, so stay tuned, and because it's going to be very funny content. So tell us, ladies, Women's Day. When you hear the word Women's Day, what comes up for you?
Me.
Meaning? Tell me more about that.
It's a day to celebrate women and empowerment
Your
and
own
what
identity.
they bring
100%.
to this world. What a difference they make. What about you, Esther? What do you think?
For me, it's everything that the unappreciated work. You know, when your kids make you the breakfast, they pick up the socks, they put the toilet seat down. These are the little things that I genuinely appreciate because that's the one day where they say, wow, this is really hard work, Mom. Thank you for doing this every day.
Very interesting. But
Look
let's
at that.
introduce ourselves because we do have a routine of doing that on the show.
Right.
For those of you that are tuning in for the very first time, we will start with our guest today, Esther, who is a nurse. She is an RN. She's also a comedian. She makes people laugh. And I think that's the best medicine in the
100%.
world.
100%.
Thank you.
There's,
Thank
you know, there's so much. There's actually a lot of scientific evidence. It's called laugh therapy, where people, when you're feeling down and you need a boost, laughing increases. First of all, it actually increases your lifespan. So having somebody like this who creates content, and
Her husband's gonna live forever.
If you're not familiar with her content, please check it out. It's Mommy RN on
88.
Instagram, 88 on Instagram. Really, really great stuff. So
Yeah.
Esther, tell us, what's your take on being a woman?
I'm gonna be like super confused this whole live because Esther, which I'm super honored to share my name with you, by the way.
I am honored as well.
What's Women's Day for me? Really, it's my mom.
Mm.
My mom celebrates Women's Day because back in Samarkand, Uzbekistan, Russia, that was like, it's a very European concept. For us, American, like, some people don't even like really recognize it. But it's really a day, I think, to celebrate women who have inspired and empowered you.
Mm-hmm.
And also it's a day for women to be celebrated by their spouses. I know my dad always buys my mom flowers. You know, he'll take her out or, you know, something sweet.
It's so interesting. As they're talking about, the first Esther said something about toilet seats, and the second Esther said something about flowers.
I'm simple.
This is some really hot content that we're going to be talking about coming very soon, so stay tuned.
Before we jump into the show, a very, very special thank you goes to Heinz International, who
International.
are
Oh, yeah.
actually sponsoring
We got some goodies.
week number
This is
3 of our show.
A strawberry shake.
I appreciate Marik from Heinz International for recognizing us as a show, for making sure we're always well
Oh,
fed.
yeah.
He got us
That's
a beautiful
Well
cake.
fed. Yeah.
We have the fruit salad, the hot souffles. I'm also grateful. I have to say, on
good
Women's
stuff.
Day, I think to myself, what can I do as a woman to make it easier? And I know that Heinz International helps me do that because every Shabbos, when I need salads and I want to really make it easier for myself, I know where to go, and that is such a tremendous help for me. So again, if you want to reach out to them, their number is 718-969-4226.
right.
Wait, then he makes all the salads?
All the salads, the box,
718,
the
what
fish.
is that?
718-969-4226, and they're located at
My phone is up there.
72-68
Thank
Main
you.
Street. Thank you very much,
So
Heinz
actually,
International.
I want to actually ask a question about that. You know, so there's a lot of, in certain communities especially, if you don't make, there can be a lot of hate. Where if you don't make something, let's say for a Shabbat table or for a specific event, if you don't make something on your own, there are certain people who will judge you for that. So what's your opinion for people who want to go out and get a salad, you know, get food or salads for the family where they don't have a chance because they're juggling, and primarily tonight's episode is going to be about women juggling a household. So for those who feel uncomfortable with going out to the store and buying ready food or salads, what are your thoughts about that? Dechavet?
So I am a strong believer that if you're a woman and you're so busy trying to make it all work and trying to have every aspect of your life be covered by you, you will get burned out. And you might please everyone else in the house, but if you're burned out and you're exhausted and you're just tired, you can't function well as a mother, a wife, a human being. So any help that you can get, whether that's cleaning lady, whether that's, help with some salads, whether that's a pizza night for and not cooking dinner that day, if that's going to make me a better person because now I have more energy to spend time with my family, I'll take that over anything.
So Esther, when we were actually talking on the phone with Esther, we're not going to say it here because I don't think we're allowed to, but Esther is going to be doing a lot of really, really cool things coming up very soon, which I'm not going to share because that's her place. But what I do want to ask is, as a mother, as a wife, as an RN, as a registered nurse, and also as a comedian, somebody who's creating her own platform, how do you juggle that? And especially something that Yocheved said, burnout. She said something where you still need to have that inner motivation. So what are some words of inspiration that you can give for women to continue staying inspired and motivated?
Well, first of all, and thank you for that question. It's actually a very, very good one. When I went to nursing school and I went into nursing, I really genuinely thought that I knew what I was getting myself into. And once you start the actual job, you're going to realize real quick what you're getting yourself into. So one of the biggest pieces of advice that I tell people is to go and volunteer wherever you think you want your career to be in, because when it actually happens, it's going to be different from what you learned in school. But when I was working in the hospital, that juggling was a lot more difficult for me personally, and I found myself lacking in everything else because my main focus became completely the hospital. Not knocking hospital jobs, I think it's incredibly important. And for me personally, that was one of my biggest struggles. I saw myself struggling in family. I saw myself struggling with my social aspect. Work-life balance was horrific for me personally. And it was also a very toxic environment because when my parents were sick, this was a constant reminder for me. I stepped away from this environment and I found a job that was more suitable for myself. So for me, it was all about putting things into perspective. It was a hard stop that I had to do for myself. I stopped and I said, this is not for me. I have to find something else. So the job that I have now, while it is very demanding and challenging, which by the way, if anyone doesn't know, while I am an RN, I work virtually. The company that I work for is corporate, so it is a very different kind of nursing. We work for a preventative health company, and what I personally do right now is I lead a Safe at Work program on an executive level. So people that are trying to get back to work safely ever since COVID started, they have their employees test. So I'll just give a really quick example. Chase and all their employees, they have my company test them, and they do this test virtually. Again, they send it in and we share their results. So this is while it's a very much simpler job, meaning it's not hands-on, it takes about 70 hours. And these 70-hour weeks, while they're very, very difficult.
Whew, 70 hours.
70 hours.
I didn't expect you to say that.
But it's also, so I make it work. How? I don't work straight through the entire day. Believe it or not, if I need to, I fold laundry between patients. I get up and I vacuum between this meeting and that meeting. I actually drive and pick up my son from school an hour early because I have a standing meeting at 3 o'clock and I can't join that meeting because he's picked up at 3:30. So I drive to his school, I have a meeting in the car, and then I pick him up.
Wow.
TikToks and Instagram and all that, that's after hours, after my kids are fed.
We're going to talk more about that very soon.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something that I do on my free time, but again, that's hours out of my day, but I prioritize. I write everything down. This is not something I used to not do either. I don't know how you ladies are, but I have...
For anyone that thinks people on social media have nothing to do,
yes, they have a lot to do.
This is just a reminder that behind the scenes, we have a lot of what needs to be done.
Oh, well, you're just on TikTok all day. Oh, well, this and that. And I'm just like, yes, I make my kids fend for themselves all the time.
I told my friend I want to go away for Pesach, so the response was, you must be exhausted from being on Facebook all the time. And I said, that's exactly why I need to go away.
Before we went on live, I was actually saying there's a whole show, a whole behind the scenes show into what goes on to make this happen. So somebody who runs a social media account like TikTok and Instagram, this is actually, I was talking to somebody on the phone today, I said that this is a new way of getting your name and your business out there. I actually
future.
spend, when I just started, because when I just became a therapist, for any business, you want people to know what you do. I spend so much money, in different calendars and different newspapers trying to put out a business card, and I got nothing, no calls, nobody looked at it. But as soon as I started social media, the game changed, right? Because this is the new way of life. If you want to be able to promote your business, this is just something that I learned throughout the system. If you want to promote your business at this point in time, everybody has some type of account, whether it's WhatsApp, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, text messages. They send messages to one another. So that's a great way of getting your name out there. So this, even though TikTok and Instagram and all this stuff is entertaining, it's also a business model that you're using.
Yes, so it's very, very, believe it or not, entertainment is really, really high in the marketing. And TikTok, I want to say, I'm not a gatekeeper, and I can tell you right now, it's the absolute future. Okay.
Yeah.
Facebook, it's great. It started it, but there are so many different social media sites right now, and depending on who you're trying to, who your audience is, I personally think that if you are running a business, it is very important that you get yourself onto social media, because if you're not keeping up with the times, and you will slowly fade away. That's just the really harsh truth, and we have to adapt with what we have. And social media is a great way to stay connected. I still feel like it's important to keep those personal connections, but if you can turn your phone on and laugh for a day, then I did my job.
Do you ever find that it's challenging to create that balance where you're kind of like, you're sucked in because there's so much
Yes.
recognition for you? It's almost like all this feedback, you just like, when you're feeling like you need to do something, you're just like, let me check my TikTok or feed, or like, does that
So-
ever happen to you?
I look for content all the time when I'm feeling uninspired. I look at other creators' content. I revisit old movies that I used to watch, and usually it's something I try to make very relatable content. I make stuff,
I love the
Mary
stuff,
related.
my cousin Vinny stuff.
Yeah, so
you do.
really classic stuff that we grew up on that I
Yeah.
personally find that's funny.
I
Maybe
love
it'll bring
that.
some nostalgia back for people, but it really depends on what you like. Not everyone is gonna love it, and I understand that. That's why we have unfriend, keep scrolling, whatever it is, unfollow,
Do you
block.
have people who like hate on you?
I do have people that have sent me some interesting direct messages, but really that's entertaining for me. I think that if you took the time out of your day to tell me how not amazing I am, I mean, you're still keeping me relevant.
I think you're amazing.
So it's interesting what you're talking about. Haters. There's a big topic on haters, and there will always be people who will hate on you, whether it's a family member, a relative, an old friend, a coworker, right? Or somebody that you never met, somebody that you don't know will send you a really nasty message and try to bring you down. Now we're talking about social media, but in life, you also have people, and I know we spoke on the phone about this, that there are going to be people in your life that are going to try to bring you down and not make you feel good. So even close people, it might be a family member, it might be a relative. I speak to people in practice, and they say, when I got divorced, I thought my close friends would be there for me, or my relatives would be there for me, and then they just left me and made me fend for myself. Being that it's Women's Day today, and this episode is going to be geared for that, we're talking about women empowerment specifically. Let's one example that we spoke about is social media, right? But so many times women that I counsel or in my practice, they feel like it's not meant for them. Not specifically social media, but if they want to get out of their comfort zone, even let's say somebody was a stay-at-home mom for years and never worked and wants to now go out in the work field and has a lot of anxiety. So what are some things, Esther, what are some things that you can
Can we just
say?
differentiate?
Yeah.
When we say Esther, there's going to be Esther RN,
Okay.
Esther PA,
Okay.
so we know which Esther we're
Okay.
directing the
So,
question to.
Esther
That's
PA,
like yesterday.
tell us, what are your thoughts about a woman who wants to go, who hasn't been working and is thinking about going out in the field? How can we empower somebody like that?
What's her situation? She just finished school?
Well, let's say her kids are already older. They're in school. She's never really been out there in the field of working, and she's thinking about what to do, which career is meant for her. So, what are your insights?
She's like thinking about what to do with her life.
Yeah, with her life.
Actually, I come across this regularly
Mhm.
because of the health coaching thing that
Okay.
I do, because I work from home
Okay.
part-time with everything. And what I could say is, if you want a different life for yourself, it has to start with a belief in yourself. When you take a minute and like recognize what you've accomplished, and you've done hard things, you can do hard things. And don't be afraid that you can't because somebody might not agree or you might fail in the process. Because let me tell you, at the end of it all, when you are on your deathbed, and I've seen this with hospice patients where I work, they don't say, I wish I didn't do something. They always say, am I right?
100,000%.
I wish I did something more. I wish I was more honest with my own needs.
Right.
Because on the other side of this story is your future.
Yeah.
And that future self has other people celebrating her. And you know, I always think to myself, like, when I became a health coach, I was very intimidated by the concept of telling people how to eat, how to lose weight. In my head, I was like, who am I to tell people what to do? Like, I don't know. I mean, I am a PA, I do give people advice, but at the same time, I didn't feel like I owned that right to say that.
Yeah.
But because I was willing to learn and go through the process, you have to be willing and you have to have like an opportunity, like a tool to move forward. Because I was willing, so many people have lost weight and gained so much knowledge about, right? Am I right? Like
Absolutely.
just habits. A friend of mine, and I'm like totally, but I'm very passionate about this topic, okay?
That's a show of its own.
But a friend of mine just lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
Wow.
Yes, she
Amazing.
just celebrated that, and she texted me. She's like, "You're not gonna see this till tonight. It was Shabbat." She's like, "But I just want to tell you, I have never been in a normal BMI as an adult." And
That's
she's
amazing.
like in her 30s.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
so to see something like that, and Avi, you'll concur, you'll agree. To do something that provides service to the world is the most powerful tool. We were just talking about that in the car because
Right.
he really does do stuff for people. Like,
Oh, thank you for that.
He helps a lot. He does help people.
Can I just say, Zoya Pilosova,
Yeah.
thank you so much. I just want to read her comment because I think it deserves acknowledgement. I appreciate this comment very much. She said, hate and haters. Everything is out of jealousy. That's how most people are thinking, unfortunately. All four of you are hardworking, very busy people, and at the same time, you're finding time to empower and encourage women. Great job. So I really thank you so much for that wonderful comment. We all really, really appreciate everyone's feedback and comments.
Thank you, Zoya.
Based on this comment, I honestly, how great this sounds, right? And thank you so much for the comment. But I'll tell you, I'm doing this for selfish reasons, and I'll tell you why.
You like
So,
to have this cake.
well, that's for sure,
It's
for this cake.
delicious.
But why am I doing it? When you say, I say
You're the
selfish
only one who's
reasons,
eating
you can think like, what are you talking about, right?
Let me feel-
People ask me sometimes when I go to events with to different schools with all my animals. For those that don't know, I'm a psychotherapist, but what I do is I work with pets in my practice. So I offer pet therapy, and pet therapy has a whole bunch of different benefits. Now, sometimes people ask me, like, what do you need this headache for? You have 3 dogs, you have parrots, you have a cat, you have spiders, you have a bunny. Like, why the heck do you need
Wait,
this?
you have a bunny?
Yeah, I have Charlie. Charlie the bunny. He'll be here next time, right? So I have so many different animals. Why do you need this headache? You know. So one time, actually, and it's funny because when my wife sees me doing all this work, so one time I said to my wife, I said, I want you to come with me to an event that I'm doing in a school. And when I came to this school, I gave all my animals out. It was a high school. It was maybe 500 girls, but they split it up.
Wow.
And I gave my animals out to all the teenagers, and they were playing with the animals. And you don't imagine how the way their face lit up. They're like, "This is the best day of my life. I love being here." And just looking at their face, like I felt like my heart was getting filled up with so much joy. And I remember looking at my wife. And I'm like, now you see why I do what I do. Like I didn't say a word. I didn't even have to I didn't have to talk to the students. The animals did all the work. I was just watching, and it made me feel so good. And it reminded me, did you ever have a situation where you had, let's say, you're crossing the street or you go into the bagel shop and there's like a poor person asking, hey, can I have $1? Can I have some money, right? And you give them $1, and when you walk away, like, don't you feel good inside?
Yeah.
So being a mom, being a woman is really being a caretaker, somebody who gives. So if we think about this, all of you have kids, and if you wonder, kids, like in the beginning especially, all they do is they cry, they poop, they don't let you sleep, they give you a hard time, but still the mother is so connected to them. And I feel like it's because you are the ultimate giver. So where would you say, when things go hard, where is it that you can take energy from and keep going forward? Esther, RN.
Where do I take energy to keep
Yeah.
going? So I always think about everything that my parents truly sacrificed for us to come here and have a good life. I think that for the most part, first of all, I'm very proud of where we come from. I think that it's very important to acknowledge that when you grow up as an immigrant, first generation, you appreciate all the opportunities that we have here. And I think that the younger generation, unfortunately, does not see that. So it is very important for us to keep those energies and those traditions alive of being able to remind ourselves that we can't, our parents
Humble
came
beginnings.
here, humble beginnings. And I remind myself of everything that my parents absolutely sacrificed for us. And really, my father, when he came here, he had all these dreams and he was such a dreamer. May he rest in peace. He just really wanted to make it. And he had invented something. So he had invented a kitchen tool. And he really didn't have any knowledge about it, but he invented something and it was so great and everybody was really excited about it. But unfortunately, he didn't really have the knowledge to proceed with it, and it was stolen from him because this is an immigrant who doesn't know the rules. His lawyer saw a guy that, we can easily lie to this guy, made him sign a contract that would sign away all the rights. This will be always something that I think of. And the reason why I say this is because Women's Day, and I'll tell you why. When this happened to my father, this was a very difficult time for my family. This was many years ago, I would say like about 20 years ago. And my mother held it down. And when I say held it down, she worked 3 jobs.
Wow.
She went to school to be able to learn English. She was a medical assistant, worked in a bagel shop, lived with her mother-in-law, and never complained. And I say never complained because I find myself complaining, and I'll stop and I'll say, my mom did all this and still ended it with a smile. And the reason why I say that is because we did not grow up with a lot of possessions, but we grew up with an abundance of food and an abundance of laughter. I can tell you right now, growing up, I have the best memories. And my friends, and if there's people that are watching, even from high school, so my door was always open, and my parents had the door open completely to my friends. My friends loved coming to my house. And sometimes it was annoying. My mom would come out with fruits. I'm like, oh my God, Mom, please stop. You're embarrassing me. Now I look back, and I even have a friend who's Israeli. She was my first friend in America, and we're still friends to this day. And her parents always were so warm to me because they said, our daughter would come home from school when you guys met, 5 years old in kindergarten, and she would say how she would come to your house and your mom would make tea and she would bring out fruits, even though she had a hard day, even though she worked, even though she had to study at night, even though my grandmother, didn't sleep all night. These are the things that we grew up, and I truly, truly appreciate it because let me tell you, when you grow up and you have all this and your parents are just now starting to come out of the ditch and enjoy life and they get sick and one of them goes, you will appreciate every single day. And that is why I keep it light. That is why it's so important to laugh. Life is really short, and tomorrow is not promised to anyone.
Love this.
And the only reason I say this is I genuinely felt it. When you are able to thrive out of trauma, you truly see the world in a different place. And this is from a different perspective. And this is why I say perspective is so important. If you go out the door and you get a speeding ticket first thing in the morning, if you're going to be sour about that speeding ticket the entire day, you will have a bad day because you're carrying negative energy. You will have a bad day. And if you're going to keep complaining about everything wrong in your life, you will continue to lose money. Oh, I never do good in the stock market. I'm always losing this. I'm always getting tickets. I'm always doing this. It's all about your own perspective. If I say I can't do it, I'm not going to be able to do it. But I tell myself every single day, I'm going to do it. I'm not in the mood always for a TikTok. Sometimes I'm in that, I'm fine mood, and I'm not really fine. That's what when women say they're fine, they're not fine, guys.
Learn.
Okay? That's our language.
Wait.
Yes means no, no means yes, maybe means yes, and I'm fine means I'm not fine.
Right,
Okay?
Avi.
We're gonna actually discuss that further.
Diva says, is she single? I want to marry her.
Yes, honey, I am.
All right.
Can I just say something? I always say, can I just say something? I'm talking.
Yes,
already.
you can.
But
Since you asked.
No, you'll
there are people watching, and I can definitely say that a lot of people watching are probably born in America, right? And then there are those that are not, like Avi. You were born in America.
I was born in America.
I wasn't.
I wasn't
I
either.
wasn't.
So I just want to say, if anybody thinks that they're born in this country and they can't achieve success, please look at this side of the table.
Yeah, forget about me. I mean, who cares? I'm a man, right?
Or Avi.
That's okay. No, but I agree with you. And
You know, we
people are
came
talking
here
about.
and
Yeah.
I did not speak English, and I remember when I had to say I want to use the restroom, right,
Oh,
bathroom.
that's tough.
It was so hard. I couldn't communicate, so we had to hold it in, and like the things we had to go through and really learn how to communicate. And English was not a first language to us. And I always tell this to my children. I say, you really can't complain about anything because we had it so hard to come here to a different
Absolutely.
country
Yes.
to learn English. To
So
have
I
to
have a question for that. A
Yeah.
follow-up question. You ready for this? So in the beginning, we were talking about salads. By the way, for personally, I see completely no problem with that. But we were talking about going to the store, buying salads from a store, and not making it homemade. And a lot of people have thoughts about that. Now I'm gonna add something else into the pot. What are your thoughts about cleaning ladies? And I know somebody commented on that. What are your thoughts about cleaning ladies? And does it take away credit from a woman of a household if you have a cleaning lady? Yes, Esther.
I'm going to piggyback on you.
I was sharing with Avi my struggles at one point. I was talking to you about this. Remember, I called you up and we were talking, and you said to me, Esther, maybe you should think about getting help. And I can't tell you how many times I heard that statement. I don't know who's watching, but some of you know, some of you don't. I have 5 kids, and they range. Like, a few of them are toddlers. There's a teenager mixed in there somewhere.
There's a senior citizen
There's
in there somewhere.
and I have to say, I have like gone through so many tears, so many frustrating moments where like my husband would come home at the end of the day and there was no space left in me to give because I was so tapped out. And I just wanted like somebody to invest some love and care in me, and I realized I need to be that person for myself. What does that mean? That means sometimes people whisper some advice to you because they care and love you. Like, my sister would tell me, Esther, you can't do this on your own. You can't sacrifice your health and your sanity for a few dollars. Get some help. I got some help. And you know what? I want to hug and kiss her every time I see her.
I give her gifts.
Oh my God, I'm so grateful to her. I send her money with love on Chase QuickPay. And
Take my money, just in the house.
and all I could say is I have such a strange, and whoever has gotten help, it's not like some people need mental therapy. It's like and some people just need physical help because their body is is deconditioned already. They've had children. They don't take time to do something they love every day. I mean, I would love for you to ask yourself a prompted question at the end of the day and say, what did I do today to relax? Because at the end of the day, when you're tapped out and you've been giving, you know what happens? Your inner self doesn't feel like it's recognized, and you end up seeping out in these like awful ways, and you don't love yourself for that, for being nasty to your husband or just rude to your friend or being judgmental about somebody or something. Why doing that? Because a part of you has not been feeding into yourself. When I started doing that this past Sunday, my kids had like conflicts, right? I mean, really, 3 toddlers, things are falling, and I asked my 5-year-old to give something to my toddler. It was basically one of my kids threw a bottle at the nose of the other one.
Oh no.
It was painful. It was a little funny to watch, but I didn't have he was like, ah. But then at the end I said, I was able to like really connect with them, right? Because it wasn't just about me figuring out like I need to clean, I need to cook, Passover is coming. And I know some of you are like, I can't afford it. It's just too hard, right? But what would you say to that if like to piggyback off of that? Because sometimes people cannot afford it.
If they cannot afford it, I mean, they should ask for help, whether it's from the spouse, try to divvy up some of the chores to the kids, and really time management. Like I always say, delegate. Don't be afraid to delegate. I always have a big problem. I always say, I just, I'll say to my oldest, and he's 8, I say, why can't you help me once in a while? You always want to be on the iPad. So when he starts helping me, I'm like, you're doing it wrong. Go, just watch TV. I'll do it myself.
Right.
This is the problem, that sometimes you just, it's better if you do it yourself. Now, as a working mom and you have kids and you want them to help, when it comes to cleaning ladies, I think that it is very, very important to understand what you can handle and what you cannot handle. There has to be a middle and a balance. Nobody's saying, buy out every single night and go and have a cleaning lady because you cannot be bothered because you've already bore children, and that's that. That is not what anyone is saying. But you are doing a lot. You are, the men provide and they provide for their family, and God bless them. They're the head of the family and they carry an important role. But here, you have the woman sharing that role and still expected to do everything else. Nobody is, and look at our parents. That is one thing that everyone should see. Look at how they have aged. They had a hard life and it shows. What 30 looks like now is not what 30 looked like back then. And look at how, sick they are. They have all this diabetes and cholesterol because they didn't take care of themselves. The sedentary lifestyle.
Right.
They didn't work out. They didn't have self-care. They didn't have spa days. They were all about their children and their home life. So we have to take that example.
You made a
and
comment
say,
about mother-in-laws before, and I'll piggyback off what you were saying, that your mother she lived with her mother-in-law, right?
Yes.
And I think because you said that, because it adds another layer of hardship, right? So the old school mindset is, if we did it
Then you
and we're
guys
fine,
can do it.
then you should do it, and you shouldn't have a cleaning lady. So what are your thoughts about that?
So I would say to those people that, while there were hardships in Russia, like cleaning the feathers off your own chickens and they were still
Right, my mother
alive,
still
and the
reminds me of
fish and
that.
the scales under the fingernails, I can
Oh my
only
goodness.
imagine. And my mom used to, my grandmother, my mom used to say, "Мы чистили с руками," and I used to say, "Okay, I understand." Passover.
Right.
I know that
Times.
they all had hardships, and they were all amazing women, and they are the ones that made us the amazing women that we are today. However, we deal with hardships that they did not have, okay? Raising children here is an entirely different ball game, okay? You have to be so involved, and it is so expensive. To raise a child here, I feel like they used to throw them in a ditch in Russia, like, here, go play and give a gift to
So
whoever,
true.
and that's it. It is not the same here. Here, it's like the going rate per child is like $1,500 in a daycare. It's ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's like you have to pay for your kids to be watched in gold bars because whatever you're getting paid is not going to even be able to cover it.
I think I'm gonna have her on the show every week.
So
Does it make a difference if a woman has a full-time job or if a woman is home?
it is not up to anyone to make that decision except that family.
Facts.
It is what is
Facts.
that
Thank you.
family's
Right.
dynamic. That is why I
100%.
always say to people, and you talk about haters, and it's not even so much haters. The word hater we say because they're jealous and this and that. Where's that jealousy derived of? Nobody that's doing more than you is going to tell you that you're doing too much.
By the way, you are getting so much love on
I'm gonna
Facebook
say
right
it
now.
again. Nobody's doing more than you is gonna tell you that you're doing too much.
Right.
Now, if you can handle it, that does not mean that everybody is meant to handle it.
Right.
I, personally speaking, I love to work. I've always been a worker. My first job was 11 years old. I haven't stopped since. I worked
Wow.
in bagel shops. I was a waitress. It's because I saw what my parents went through. I never wanted to ask them for like extra money for candy or clothes or whatever it is.
Same.
And my brothers also worked. We grew up with that work ethic. I've always been a hustler. I've always been selling something online. This is just something I've always grown up doing. I am now trying to project everything that I learned and everything that I learned in my life experiences to my future. I'm not going to take my money and spend it on a Gucci bag. I'm going to invest it.
Now,
Yes.
for men that are watching,
Yes.
even though this is a ladies' show today,
Victoria said, "You go, girl."
yes.
Just
Can I
saying.
just
Thank you,
say,
Victoria.
please, if there are, although we're talking about how important it is to have a cleaning lady, and you have to really pick and choose. Sometimes you may not want to go buy yourself a dress and spend that money on cleaning help if it's financially difficult, right? There are some men that were raised in families in which their mothers didn't have cleaning ladies.
Absolutely.
And in their mind,
not
if
normal.
my
It's unheard
mother
of.
did it
Mhm.
without it, you, my dear wife, need to also learn to do it without it. I don't want you getting too lazy on me. Now, that's a problem because we have to understand, for the men that are watching, although you want your wife to resemble your mother, your wife,
By the way, I brought a
Your
notebook,
mother.
so I'm taking
I didn't
notes
say anything.
from the three powerhouse women over here. So what else? How else do I?
please
should
remember,
be a
she's
better
not
husband?
your mother. She has the qualities that your mother doesn't have, and vice versa. Love them both for what they have to offer in your life. She's raising your children. Your mother had to raise you, and she should do it the
It
way.
wasn't your mother's choice. Just kidding.
It needs to be
Yeah.
done. What I'm trying to say is, although, because I know there are going to be ladies out there that are watching, and I don't want this to kind of be like, all right, tonight I'm going to go after the show. I'm going to give it to my husband. I knew I needed a cleaning lady. He's so hard about it. That's not the point. The point is, discuss this amongst each other with love, okay?
Right.
You both have to agree on that. You both have to come to a position of, this is what we want in our family, okay? For some people, they really don't want a cleaning lady. They're very OCD. They want things
Yes.
their own way, and they're
Right.
happy with that. If that's your happy place and you find cleaning therapeutic, go for it. What we're trying to say is, on Women's Day, we want to just tell the women out there, do things to make it easier for yourself. Because nobody wants a miserable mother, wife,
Nobody wants a
human
sick
being.
Yes, exactly.
I don't need a beautiful, fancy, spotless house, but then to be a witch for my children. Nobody wants that. Sometimes the children want a little bit of a mess, but to have a mother who cares and loves them. Avi,
Yes.
you prepared some
I'm
questions.
so scared to be on this live. I don't want to say anything wrong.
He's like, yes. What?
I do want to say one second. I do want to say.
We'll give you just to speak.
So Zoya commented, and Zoya said, "Cleaning ladies are great if you can afford it, but it's very important to involve kids, husband
Absolutely.
in household chores. They need to be responsible, also to help a working mother."
Can I
So,
tell you? Can I?
Yeah, of course.
Can I,
Yeah.
So when I had a nanny for a small amount of time because my two children were 1 year apart and I really needed to work, when I had a nanny for a small amount of time, she was there to help me, and I sat my oldest down and I told him, me and my husband told him, she's here to help me. She's not here for you. He would do his own laundry. He would still fold it and do his own small chores. This is obviously very important because you don't want them to not understand and not know how to care for themselves. They need to know eventually one day that they need to pick up after themselves.
Yeah.
There's not going to be someone picking up for them because everyone should be raised to be self-sufficient. COVID taught us that, if anything. You know, if you were a barber making great money and you thought, you know, that's it, I know how to use my hands, I'm golden, or whatever it is, like jewelry's lucrative, this and that, you don't know because you don't know what can happen tomorrow. Tomorrow,
You don't know.
that one income could literally go away like that.
Beautiful.
And if you have to get rid of that nanny, you don't want 3 spoiled brats sitting
Right.
there and saying, I'm not going to
Thank
now
you.
help you, and you're going to have a hard time.
So I like what you said about if that person, let's say, if you're not in that person's situation, do not judge them, because just because you can do something doesn't mean another person can do that. Did you want to say something?
I wanted to say, did you have our questions prepared? I know that you
I
had some
I
questions.
do. There
for
are some
us.
questions right here.
He worked hard today. I actually gave him work to do.
Before, I'm honestly, Yael, she said, "Betcha, Avi." Honestly, I'm really trying to take notes here. I brought a notebook to be able to take some lessons from these powerhouse ladies. But what I will say is, yes, I do believe that men and kids should have chores also. But I will put a disclaimer. For example, let's say, so I have everybody knows, or if you don't know, I do have a lot of pets in my house, okay? They live at home with me, my wife and I, and obviously, you know, animals, and I get this all the time. Did you hear what Esther said? She's like, now, like, poor wife, right?
I'm just thinking of all the fur.
Exactly.
I don't know why
So,
that's the first thing that
so
popped into
because
my
of
head.
that, and
There's a lot of dogs.
and there are a lot of animals there, and obviously there's a big cleanup, a lot of cleanup, and sometimes I'm not home all the time, whether I'm in an event or I'm doing something, and because I knew, you know, the animals are part of my business. This is just a private thing. You don't have to do this, but this is what works for me, and I like what you said. If it's a system that works for you, then that works. Personally, my time, I value my time so much because I only have 24 hours in a day, and part of that time I'm sleeping, right? So the time that I'm not sleeping, I really try my best to maximize every single second that I have. And because of it, if I have to clean up and if I have to do something, and that takes, I don't know how my wife does it. Well, women do it. They're like powerhouse women. What I can do in 5 hours, they do it in 30 minutes, right? But what I basically want to say is, if let's say I have to do house chores, and that's going to take me a very long time to do it. Let's say it's going to take me 5 hours to do it, right? I can pay someone for a service and say, hey, listen, this job has to be done. Make sure it's done to the top quality, right? The way that my wife likes it, and that's my contribution to the family. And it's my duty to make sure whether the cleaning lady comes, whether I pay her, and making sure the house is taken care of. So for the men out there, if you don't want to do it, you can get the help, because sometimes, you know, there was this movie. I think I brought this up before. Women say, there was a statement, they said, I want you to want to do the dishes,
yes.
right? If I don't I personally, I know this is like, I'm exposing so much about myself, I hate doing the dishes,
Uh-huh.
right? But if there are other things that I can contribute with, like taking out the trash, I will absolutely take out the trash. But if there's an area that my wife needs help in and I can't do it because of limited time, right? I will absolutely get the help and tell her, get a few people, whatever it is, let me give my part. So if my part is to help in the house and I personally cannot do it, I will absolutely make sure that there's a service there that can take care of it. What the point of this is that if one way doesn't work, there are always other ways to look at a certain situation. That's just my piece. Oh hell yes, my boys are like soldiers, and they don't even know I get a cleaning lady sometimes. Oh, okay, great.
I just wanted to
Avi,
add,
all men will think like you. I guess it is what it is. What can I say? Did you want to say something?
I did. I wanted to just say, like, I have a friend who has a large family, and her husband said no to the cleaning lady, and she's home, so she doesn't feel like she can really push that concept because she's not contributing financially, right? So she feels like she needs to do all the work. So for anyone who's listening, like what I would advise her, and like you can share your opinions, I would say if that's something that you're dealing with, scale back on other things, like
exactly.
because you're sacrificing in those 24 hours. Like if you only have 24 hours, like she'll make pastries, and then at the end of the day be like, I'm so exhausted. It doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be hard. I have just a little quick story. My dryer was working at a suboptimal level, and I didn't know. I just kept running the dryer over longer and longer periods of time, thinking this is just the way it is. And then when my cleaning lady came, that same lady, she's like, I have the same dryer. What a coincidence, right? Out of all dryers, she has the same dryer, and she says it's not supposed to dry like this. And so she's like, something's wrong.
Your stuff is still wet.
Yeah,
It's
your
not
stuff.
supposed to be
I was like
wet.
drying it on couches. I'm like, it's okay. We're used to this. And she said to me, you need to get this checked out. And what my realization was, it doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That was your normal. That became
right.
your normal.
I got my iron tested because I was very anemic, and turns out I'm really anemic. And I was at like such a low capacity of activity, and I do a lot of stuff. But when I got the iron, because I've been getting 5 doses IV, whatever. When I got the iron, I felt so much more energy, and I realized like we don't have to break ourselves to do things hard. We just have to realize like what's the feedback we're getting from the universe that's telling us we got to try things differently.
And that's important because you just brought up a very important point. Lesson learned. Check yourselves medically. If you're not feeling all that great and you haven't been seen by a provider, you haven't had your blood work or screening tests, please check yourself, because sometimes it's not just I'm so exhausted because there's so much on my plate. There is something that can be done to help you feel better. So that is, thank you, Esther, for this wonderful, amazing
we have
lesson.
a quick question.
Yes.
The question is, from Tammy, I always wonder why married women get ostracized for getting help with chores, taking care of themselves in a way that suits them best, but yet are expected to have an equivalent income and raise entitled to feel tired after a normal day. I mean, you're human, so if you worked a hard day, and first of all, you have to make the same income as your husband. I mean, who's putting that bar up there? If you're working and you're bringing money home, that's already a major achievement. And if what works for your family, that's what you go with.
Some men don't want their husbands to work, their wives to work.
Some men don't want.
Okay, but can I say
that's-
something?
yeah.
I think the reason why so many people question this is because all of these issues stem from comparison, and it's very important to not compare to what other families do. This is why when this topic is brought up in the sense of, even though Dochka has a cleaning lady and this one has a cleaning lady, it's normal. Why can't we have a cleaning lady too? It's not about that. You have to, I'm not a lawyer, but I could probably be one. Pitch your case, okay? You sit down and you say, this is what's difficult. Okay, so we won't go on vacation 8 times a year. Don't, let's not go out on Valentine's Day where the price is triple for the Prix Fix menu.
Right.
Those are the things that's nonsense. If you prioritize what's important, you can get the help for yourself. I truly don't believe you can't make it work. If you want to, you will make it happen. But for the people that say, why is it so ostracized? There are cultural expectations because, like I said, we're first generation. And by the way, I've taken a step back on this. This is not just our culture. This is something that I've learned through all of my experiences in the hospital, especially the hospital. But I saw any first generation Indian Americans, Italian Americans, Greek, Spanish, anyone that came here, like first generation, truly battle with the older generation and the new generation growing up with the American customs. If you notice, they're very extreme, and this is what we are always battling with in our own marriages, in our own family lives. You have to meet that middle. Even in our own society, we're all Baharian, right? We have similar traditions, and we most of us. If I have a Baharian husband, all of you, right? We're all Baharian. So,
Do you have a Baharian husband?
I have a Bukharian wife.
well, okay.
She's from Navai. Doesn't get more Bukharian than that.
But when you start raising kids, right, or you have your pets, but when you start having communications, you're still mixing two families. Don't you realize how amazingly different your families are? And you're still in the same
Right.
culture.
Yeah.
You're still in the same culture, so it doesn't even matter. It's all about, yes, you were brought up like this. I was brought up like this. Let's put them together and find out what works for our family.
So I
Comparing
think
won't work.
the main
Right.
takeaway, what you're saying, is communication.
Communication.
You were talking from the women's perspective, and this is a woman's show. I'll talk from the man's perspective and say, I had to have that conversation with my wife as well. Like, if I had to do my part and pitch into the family, and because either I'm working or I'm with clients and I don't have a moment to do something, I would say, you know what, let's get you the cleaning hub to make sure that all the things that are necessary to be done, let's make sure, because she works as well. She works a full-time job. She's a very, very busy accountant, and we want to make sure that the family needs are also met. Every single relationship, I say this all the time, every single relationship has three entities: the husband, the wife, and then the couple. So you each, and again, this is another thing which we'll talk about, is possibly on another live, because we have something very exciting right over here, but
Yeah.
never
Let's do
losing yourself in a relationship. And again, in terms of cleaning, ladies, if let's say you used to love writing, or you used to love painting, and now because you have a family, you can't do that any longer, getting a service like cleaning help, or just
Which
not even-
cleaning ladies paid us
not
for
even
the show?
I know, right? Not
Which
only, but
cleaning
not only cleaning help. I'm talking about even hiring a babysitter,
Yeah,
doing
true.
something, outsourcing. No, but like I'll tell you,
Delegating.
the whole
Ami doesn't want to clean.
the whole. Oh, no, it's not about not wanting to. It's not about.
okay, I mean,
It's
that's
not
We're
about.
not gonna do the dishes. We're not gonna make
I know, I
it.
hate-
For the love of God.
I don't know if my wife is watching, but she knows I hate doing
Just
this.
clean up the
This
fur.
no, there's something about the water
I
and that
agree.
I don't like
agree
doing.
With you.
Who's paying you?
I'll-
I don't know. I just don't like to do it. And in all honesty, if I can get the job done and the job is done, then there's no problem, But it's all about, I think, what Esther said. It's about communication. Advocate for yourself, because if you're not going to advocate for yourself, then who will? That's the main takeaway. And
So
a lot of it
true.
is, knowing your self-worth. This can really work for men and women at the same time. Knowing your self-worth, your value, even at work. Let's say you are working so hard and you want to raise. They say statistically proven. You can check it out, statistics. Why are women generally paid less than men? Because one of the main reasons is because they don't ask.
Don't make me say it.
What?
Nothing. Go ahead.
What? Say
Nothing.
Because
Say
Say it.
because for some reason, if they're both on a Titanic, we get to leave with the kids. We don't have to stay.
No, but in all honesty, and women don't have, many women, again, I don't like to generalize, but many women don't like to advocate for themselves and ask. I personally, in my session, I had clients to say, I don't have the guts to go up, and I don't like to talk about money. I don't like to talk about these type of things. This is important, because if you're not going to advocate for yourself, then who will? That's the main takeaway. We're going to start to play a game. Before we play the
Can
game,
I say
does
that
anybody
we don't know the questions here?
So this stuff...
We are gonna just hear it for
All
the
right.
first time with everybody
So
here.
this is very juicy. If you have to go, stay tuned. This is gonna take like 2 minutes, but this is basically, I did some research and I did spend some time on this. And these are the most.
He asked his pets. What to
No,
ask.
no. This is around the world. These questions are questions that were asked by men about women. What men want to know about women. All right. So they don't know the questions. I'm gonna choose it randomly, read it to them, and then
You're
each of you.
choosing the questions?
I'm choosing the
I thought we
questions.
just picking it
No,
out.
I'm choosing the questions that I'm asking you.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
So here we go. You ready?
Yep.
So we're gonna go in order, but you guys can all pitch in on all the questions. So we'll start with our guest, Mommy RN. Here we go.
Okay.
Ha! This is hilarious. All right. Are you? And please pitch in, both of you guys. Are you seriously expecting an honest reply to "Does this make me look fat"?
Oh man, that's a tough one. I'm gonna be really, really honest with you and expose the women here. Just women in general. I feel like when we ask that, it's because we want to hear that we're not, but yeah, lie to us. I think it's better if you lie. It just opens up a whole can of insecure worms. But you know what I will say? Don't ask. Don't ask. Just trust me. Just don't ask.
So, but in a situation, because I brought a notebook, I'm taking notes.
Do they really want to hear it? I personally think that no, we don't want to hear that, but I also appreciate honesty. So if it's your spouse and they say it to you in a sensitive, careful way,
it's not what you say; it's how you say
it. Absolutely,
okay.
It really does. But if they are saying it from a place of love, because listen, that's your partner, and they have every right to share that with you. You want them to tell you, especially if you're like borderline unhealthy, if you have bad eating habits. I mean, you can be skinny as a stick and still have poor habits. They want you around.
Is it okay for spouses to tell each other? Or let's say a husband tells, being it's Women's Day. A husband telling a wife, you need to go to the gym, you need to lose weight.
Is that another question?
No, this is a side piece. Not like that.
The only way that question is appropriate is, would you like to go to the gym together?
Ooh, look at that. That's a good one.
Together.
She should be a relationship coach.
Okay, here we go. Next one. You ready? Esther, this one is for you.
If you want to know where to get this game, by the way.
No, this is no. This is.
I'm joking.
No, this is not a game. This is. I legit did some research. I said, what are the most top questions that men want to know about women, and these were the main ones that came out. So here we go. Esther, this one is for you.
Okay.
This is hilarious.
Having so much fun with it.
Why are women so disappointed when men leave the toilet seat up?
I'll be really frank with you. It's because in the middle of the night, when you go into the bathroom and you sit down,
and you fall in,
it's just not fair.
It's
not a good situation. And
it wakes you up. It's horrible.
It's
You
horrible.
try to do a calm squat, and then bam, and it wakes you up, and you're like.
And it's sometimes like the worst thing is if like you're sitting on someone else's. You know what? It's just you're like.
Why can't you just put it down?
This is so gross right now. I feel I
don't understand.
when I get
Why
out
is this even still a thing? 2021, guys.
Well,
just put
it's
the seat
coming.
down.
It's coming from a place where you want men want to keep it clean.
I want them to
And
sit
we
on
try
the
to keep it
toilet
clean.
seat if they are concerned about this question.
Yeah.
Whoever asked
All
that
right,
question.
you ready? next,
It's like,
next question. Yocheved, this one is for you.
All right, let's hear this.
Ooh, interesting. What are your thoughts about guys wearing wedding rings?
I personally think it's very nice. It definitely adds some. I'm taken.
Ownership.
Like you see this. Don't look at me. I'm taken. I love it. But I've been told, which is really weird.
I already know what you're
Yes,
saying.
it is
I've
true.
been told that when a guy wears a ring, more ladies hit on him.
And you know why?
And
Why
I'm
is
like,
that?
what?
Because that means that another woman wanted him, has him, so he must be something good. That is yes. So
He
if
must be already-
he's kept, there's already a mystery right there.
But subconsciously, it also shows that a person who's married, is stable, whether it's an income, whether it's a household,
Yep.
whether it's a car or whatever it may be. So that's what I mean. I'm
In that case, then I'm happy with my husband not wearing this ring.
All right, here we go. Next question, Mommy RN. This is for you. You ready?
Yep.
Ooh, actually, this one will be for all of them. Finish the sentence. The world would be a better place if all men would.
Appreciate women.
Interesting. What's one thing a guy can do to show appreciation to a woman?
Really, it's simple things. Listen to her.
Listen.
Don't hear what she's saying. Don't talk over her. Actually listen to her. I can tell you so many things that right now is when a woman is trying to really open her heart up, it's because she feels that there are all these, especially a mom, I always say that these little ungrateful things, it's not because it's ungrateful, it's unappreciated work. The cooking, the cleaning, eating is something that we do to survive. The cleaning is you want a normal, nice, hygienic household for your children to grow up in. But for you, it's a day-to-day that it's a lot of work and it takes time and it's every single day and it's repetitive and it's thrown in within all the other expectations that you have to hold. And it's a lot for one person to constantly have that on their shoulders.
Right.
So at the end of the day, your spouse comes to you and you want to someone to just listen to you.
Right.
I think it's very important because if your spouse is coming to you and as a man, you're ignoring her or you're pretending to listen or you're just not acknowledging and validating her feelings, she will go elsewhere with this. And I'm not saying another man, that not at all. I'm saying like whether it's a girlfriend or she just, she's gonna she's gonna shut down on herself and feel like she's not validated and appreciated. And it's really simple to prevent that just by genuinely listening to her.
But again, not to for all the men, just I got you guys, I got your back here. I'm trying my best, but to say, men, we're problem solvers, and we like if a woman comes to us and says, "Hey, I have this problem," we immediately jump into let me be the hero of the situation and fix the problem.
Right.
But I think what you're saying, Esther, is that part of communication is also listening. So oftentimes when a woman comes with a concern, it's not because she needs a solution, but part of her being okay is just being able to vent. And once that's done, she already knows what she has. I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but you already know what you don't need us to tell you what to do. You already know what to do. You just want to make sure that we're in the loop and just hear you.
I just
And
remembered something funny.
Tell us.
Like when you're in bed and you're talking to your husband and you're telling him the problem, and the next thing you know, he's snoring. Like, hello.
That's
We're
it.
just
You're supposed to be
it's not
listening
that.
to
This is my
We're
favorite.
visualizing a picture in our mind. That's really what it is.
So I'll be doing something. This is my absolute favorite. He'll probably kill me, but I don't care. So he, will say like let's hang out, let's watch a movie, and I'm like, you're gonna fall asleep. Why do you have to ask me to watch a movie? And he's, no, I swear, if it's gonna be a really good one, let's try to pick something together. And I swear to God, I'm not gonna fall asleep. Let's spend some time together. Okay. So we find the movie. Do you want to watch this? I want a thriller tonight. Okay, you want this? I saw that already. You want this? We finally get to the movie. I kid you not, not even 10 minutes in, and I watch him the whole time. And I watch him like he goes, stop watching me because I already see. He goes like this. I'm like, why? Why are you passing out? It's 8:30.
It's funny. All this time, I thought I was the only one, but clearly I'm not.
And you know what happens? I'll get angry, and I'm like, forget. I didn't even want to watch this. I saw it already.
What
He
did
loves-
I just say?
Yeah, what did I just say?
It's like 10 minutes ago what
So
I
he
said.
loves when I narrate movies for him, right? We'll watch movies and he falls asleep. And then he says, like, every time it's a movie, I don't know why this happens, but he'll be on the phone scrolling for hours. And I'm like, why are you still awake? You just said you want to watch a movie.
That's
so
hilarious.
you
It
guys-
happens so much.
I don't know why. I have a question for the men. Can we turn around for a second?
Oh,
There's no men's
yeah.
day.
Today
Why
is
do you fall
not
asleep?
men's day.
Why do you fall asleep? Why?
Well, because we have such intense
The
work
same
days.
I think our brains are so
You have intense work days?
Oh no!
Tread carefully.
You're right. All right.
my
So
God.
next, Yocheved, this one is for you.
Okay.
Oh my goodness! You ready for this? I was so curious about this. Okay, so when I travel, the three most important things besides my pets, of course, and my wife. I mean, that goes without saying. Without no, because when I
Pets and then your wife.
no, because that goes without saying.
Wow.
No, because I'll explain to you
She might
why.
not want to come
Oh
along.
my goodness, honey, you know I love you.
Pets will go for sure.
No, I will.
I was rooting for you.
The wife, she'll think about it.
The
And if she
reason-
doesn't want to go, that's okay, because he has.
Okay. Let me explain. I travel every single day with my pets.
With 9 pets.
I don't travel with my wife. My wife is at work. I travel.
Where do you travel?
There's no
I
room
travel.
for
you
her.
driving?
I go to hospitals, different hospitals every single day with my animals. We do pet therapy.
Are they in cages?
So in the car, they're not in cages. We do pet therapy, so people play with them, right? So we go to different hospitals every single day. So I travel with my pets. That's what I meant. My wife is at work, but when I do
Please
travel,
clarify.
okay, I'm clarifying.
Yes, thank you.
When I do travel, I travel with three main things: my phone, my wallet, my keys. Now the question to the women are, well, to Yocheved, and then the women you can pitch in.
All right, let's see.
Why do women,
Let's
again,
walk
by the
back
way,
my
we're
husband.
not trying to stereotype, but these are just the most popular questions men are asking women. Why do women have the need to carry a massive handbag everywhere they go? And what do you carry inside of it?
It's everything. It's all our
To be
life
prepared.
savings.
To be
Just in
prepared.
case, unlike you, we don't travel with our pets. So in case we definitely need something, we carry
No, but in
valuable items.
generally, what besides your phone, your wallet, your keys, what do you carry?
Wallet, phone, and keys. My money,
Well, that's in your wallet.
Water
makeup,
bottle.
Oh,
water
makeup.
bottle.
But if you put on makeup
Brush.
at home,
Yeah, but touch-ups.
Yeah.
oh my goodness, here we go. All right, there we go.
I
So
really
every-
couldn't beat after your answer to that question. I mean, anything we say is not gonna
Well,
sound.
no, because that's what I was thinking about my workday. I travel with them. All right, so Esther RN, right? Okay. Do women always expect the guy to pay for dinner?
So to be chivalrous, I feel like it's expected. But if it's not, if it doesn't happen, or if he asks for half, if you're on a date,
He asks for half. Would that be a turn off?
it would. I don't want to sound like the guy has to pay, but at the same time, I always carried my money with me just in case, because I have had a situation where I went on a date. It was a double date, and I will tell the story because I think it's hysterical. But I went on a double date once. I was 18 years old, and it was a double date of like the guy wanted to go with the girl, and she didn't want to go, so she begged me to come, and he was like, "Okay, I'll bring my friend."
It was one of those
It
situations.
was one of those. So I was like, "All right, I'll come like for support." So I wasn't really on a date with the guy. We were all like, we know each other,
Right.
but I didn't want her to make her feel uncomfortable. And thank God we went, and thank God I was working, and we had, I was like. We went to a restaurant and he ordered, and I'm not going to get into it too much, but he ordered one palka of shashlik just for me and her to share.
What?
And I didn't understand why, but I was like,
goodness.
no, I'm not one of those girls. I don't have a salad and a crouton. I would like a
Another
decent
one.
meal, and I will pay for it if that's a problem. So when the check actually came, he opened it and he was like, he was upset. And I said, no, I'm going to pay for it. And his friend was like, no, we got it. So that taught me a lesson of you should always carry your own money with you. You never know of the situation. And I really think it is chivalrous if the man pays.
You know what's really more interesting than that? This was a question men wanted.
Men wanted
answer
to know
for.
about women because
Women preach equality and they feel like, well, if we're
so
so equal, why do I have to foot the
but
bill?
what I will say is
Yeah,
also
that's true.
on the other side of the spectrum, I also do counsel a lot of men and women in the dating field, and a lot of the times I hear from men, they say, honestly, I'm burned out from dating because I'm spending so much money on these girls and nothing seems to work out. I mean, think about it.
Absolutely.
If you
just may wanna
in a
settle,
relationship,
just not to
let's
go
say
to
you go
dinner.
out 4 times a month, right? Once every week. I mean, that's a budget that you need to have. Now imagine somebody going out and trying to find a mate for themselves where they're going
Constantly,
8 to 10 to 12 times a month.
I would say, keep the dates light. Take them out for coffee. It
Right,
doesn't
but
have to be
then
extravagant.
what I get from that is then the family thinks he's cheap.
That's their problem.
They don't consider that he goes out so many times and he spends so much money. So this is a big conversation to have as well. So Esther, you wanted to say something?
No.
Oh,
Esther's
okay.
waiting
I
for a
didn't know.
question.
All right, question.
I
Here
was
we go.
waiting for a question.
Question. Oh, this is like I always see this when I'm in weddings. I see this all the time.
Uh-oh.
Why do women go to the bathroom in groups?
Why does she always get the bathroom?
I don't know.
It's like, this is the second
We
bathroom
know
question.
as our wave comes to the bathroom that all the men will come after us, so we come in groups just to fend them off.
Oh,
Because we're really looking
Power
That's really
in-
the reason. It's
power
the-
in numbers.
Power in numbers, and also I feel like a woman, when she gets up to go to the bathroom, if she's very confident, she will go to the bathroom and do what she has to do and come back down. Sometimes you're in a setting and you don't want that attention when you get up from a table, you'll ask like a friend to come with you. I have to admit, I'm that bad friend that if a friend asks me, I go, no, I'm not going to the bathroom with you. You do your own business and you leave me alone. Because
I also don't go with people.
I also feel it's weird. Why do I have to stand there and we
I don't
just
like public
small talk?
bathrooms in general.
Yeah,
so
so
if I don't have to go, I'm not
But
going.
yes, we go in groups because of that.
Interesting. All right, I'm learning so much. Oh, this is a good one. Here we go, and this can be for all of you. But Yocheved, your turn. You ready?
Of course, yeah.
When a woman says, "Ew, I hate him," does that mean she secretly likes him?
Always. No. The truth is, it depends when she says it. Ew, I hate him because like he really pissed me off and insulted me and really embarrassed me. I think at that moment she really truly means what she says. She really hates him. But when she's like, a lot of times when women are dating and they're telling their friends, "Ew, I hate him," I think that can sometimes feel like they really do like, but they don't want to really express, or they feel ashamed or embarrassed a little bit. So I think in what context it's referred to. But I really think that in a marriage, after you live for a very, very long time, there's always going to be that love-hate relationship.
Bickering.
And that's normal, when you
Right,
truly
without
feel like,
arguments.
how in the world did I marry this guy? Like, what was I thinking? It's going to come, but then you go back and you say, oh, this is why. So that's very important in a
Sometimes
marriage.
it does put the toilet seat down.
Yeah.
Thank you for backing us up. But what I did want to say, to comment on a serious note, you said she's embarrassed to say that she likes him. I actually see this a lot with clients where if they do like someone and they're dating for a while, right? They have a hard time with saying, I actually like this person and let's take it to the next step. They try to avoid sharing their feelings because you are being vulnerable when you say yes, I like you.
Well, they're
It's
afraid of
also
rejection.
exactly it's a form of
Right.
protection that if you do say
Vulnerable.
I like you, now they have this over you, and if they have this sense, they may have a sense of now I can hurt you because I know you like me. But getting into a relationship, you will have to also, first of all, yes, you have to look out for red flags, but at the same time, you have to also be hopeful and hope that the relationship will work out. All right, you ready? Here we go. Esther RN. All right, let's look at the comments.
You guys are so entertaining. I might cancel Netflix. Oh,
Oh,
Asana.
look at that.
Wow.
Someone tag Netflix.
Let's see.
I love it.
Poor
okay.
Avi. There's a lot of poor
Zalman,
Avis.
Zalman is my.
Do you see how the men back each other up?
Of course, we're a pack. All right, here we go. Oh my God, this is so true. Esther RN, you ready for this? Why? And again, we're doing this all in fun and games, guys. So please don't take it personally. We're just trying to have a good time, but it is also very true. So the question is, why do women have such a hard time to decide where they want to eat? When you go on date night, it's like, do you want Chinese food? No, we don't want Chinese food. So what do you want? Oh, pick anything. And then, okay, you want pizza? No, we had pizza. So what's the takeaway from here?
I don't know.
Oh, you seriously don't
I
know?
don't know why we don't know. We're just indecisive in general. I don't know why that's always such a hard thing.
I think if it's a disappointment, we don't want to be responsible.
That's a big one. I feel like that too. I feel like as a decision maker, my husband's always like, just order something, and I'm like, oh my god, so much pressure. I don't know if you're gonna like this, or I don't even know what I'm in the mood for. So I honestly do see that, and for whatever reason, if you're like in a group of friends and you guys say like, especially women, where do you want to eat? I don't know. Are you in this? And if we're like planning a girls' night, that is the most frustrating part.
Right. Someone
Trying
has
to
to
make
take
that
control.
decision. Yep, so
Interesting.
I actually feel like I'm different.
Okay.
If I like a certain place, I actually gravitate to the same place. all the
okay,
time.
so you're
Wow,
yeah. You see,
okay,
you do
look
what-
And I
at that.
just, yeah, I just feel like,
I
you
like
know
to try
what,
new
I
things.
tried
Lucky
it. It worked.
Zalman.
I don't want to disappoint, and whatever works is good for me. So I'm usually the one to go to the same place, and I'm very happy with that.
And by the way, with Esther, they agree with you that girls' night is really hard.
It really is.
All right, here we go.
But
Next,
really necessary.
next question. All right, to Esther PA. Oh, this is such a good one. I feel like everyone is such a good one, and it's so true.
Because you pick them.
Okay,
Exactly.
here we go. Esther, why do women say they don't want flowers, and when you don't bring home the flowers on a special occasion, they make sure to bring it up and make a face that they're upset? So should we get them flowers even if they say they don't want flowers?
I'll tell you from my own personal experience, women want the man to want to give the flowers, not that the woman has to prompt him to do something chivalrous. So actually in my first year of marriage, my husband said, do you want a birthday gift? My birthday was in March, we got married in January, okay? So we were really newlyweds. And I said, no. And so he came home with a strawberry cake, and so like he was like really excited because like he knew strawberry shortcake was my favorite. And then I'm like looking around, like what?
Where's my gift?
Where's
that?
that?
What's the
What's
jewelry?
going on? And he was totally confused. And I feel, looking back, I totally blindsided him because he really wanted to know. He doesn't understand games. Like I think
As
men
most
in
men,
general,
they're simpler than
they're
us.
very
yeah.
like, just tell me what you want from me.
You know, it's so true
He's
because
like,
yes,
yes.
it's true because
It is true.
you know it's funny because for me in my life I feel like I have everything, like I don't need anything, right? And then an event will come up, my birthday, whatever it may be, and she'll buy me something. I'm like, oh my gosh, I really needed this. But then when it comes to, I'm like, just please tell me what you need.
Right.
Make my life easier. I want to try to be creative, but if you can make so from what I'm learning is women don't like to
Oh,
tell
no,
men.
Esther, I'm very different than you. She said, oh no, I don't need a gift. I
I'm
actually
not like
told my
that anymore.
husband
That was the
4
first.
weeks in advance. My birthday's coming. Make sure you get me a gift. I remind my husband with every occasion that I want something. So I'm so shocked that you said no and you thought he's going to have the
It was
opposite
my-
reaction.
Well, she did say it was the first year
It
of
was the
marriage.
first
The
year.
first
I'm
year.
sure things
They
are
were
different.
newlyweds. She
Right.
didn't want to
Because
put.
if you're in your first year of marriage, it's beautiful, it's also confusing and exhausting, but it's marvelous because you're learning each other and you're loving each other. It's wonderful and crazy. So, but yeah, that was like
Wow.
it was not the tastiest strawberry shortcake at the time. Like I was not excited about it.
What I do want to say is, by the way, based on what Yocheved said, is that we're not mind readers. If there's something you want, let us know.
Right,
Make it easier
I think
for us.
Men
And
generally want to.
we
Please
want
their
to please.
wives.
Of course, we want to
Well,
please.
let me make it very easy for all
Zalman,
the
by the
men
way,
watching
Zalman
right
in the
now.
background, he's like, yes,
Yeah, for all the
yes.
men watching, you're not mind readers, but let me just tell you, just read the
Ooh.
mind. When they get dressed up, when we get dressed, just give us a compliment.
Uh-huh.
You don't need to be a mind reader for that.
Right.
It's just like make it a part of it.
All right, here we go.
Look at Zalman's
So
expression.
Esther went now. Yocheved, ready? This is for you, but ladies, if you.
Okay.
All right. Why do the jerks get the girl, and the nice guys have it much harder?
Why do the jerks get what girl?
Get the girl. Like let's say there's that one girl that
There's
people want,
actually
right?
an explanation for this.
Okay.
Let her take this
Let's
question.
let's
All right,
let's
go
hear
ahead.
Esther.
Let's go.
So believe it or not, and this is really interesting. I will never forget this, even though anthropology wasn't my major. When I studied in college, that was one of the prerequisites that you needed to have for your degree. So in anthropology, it was very interesting. He talked about why women prefer a man that's an alpha male, and an alpha male, for whatever reason, has to be aggressive, right? But in the prehistoric times, the alpha
Aggressive
men
or confident?
aggressive. So the reason why I say aggressive is because in prehistoric times, the alpha male had to be the aggressive one because he was the one that got all the food, and the women gravitated to the ones that got all the food because of survival. That is no longer the case now, but they say that because of the way our society has gone, even though we go up in time and we have evolved so much, there are a lot of barbaric and archaic methods that we still have been adapted to.
Interesting.
So while some of them can be still considered chivalrous, you'll see another side of it that will say, no, this isn't correct, it should be 50-50. But the real truth of it is the alpha male is going to be the go-getter. He's more or less the confidence, not arrogance, I will say confidence, but he's the persistent one. A woman with a nice guy, unfortunately what happens is she says no, and he doesn't want to push the boundary, he doesn't really want to overstep. He might back away and put himself unfortunately into the friend zone, because that will happen. A guy that's a go-getter, that's persistent, that happens to just be that's why his character is the way that is, because he always moves forward, always pushes through and gets what he wants. Of course, not everyone that's a go-getter is aggressive, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But for the majority, they say, why do those girls like the bad guys? It's always been like you want that bad boy vibe and this and that. I think you learn later with life that you actually want the nice guy that is gonna, versus that. But that is a really interesting thing that I learned, that apparently the reason why we are like this is because we have gravitated from this. From
I heard that
barbaric times.
girls like jerks, women like gentlemen. To comment on what you said,
makes me laugh.
there's a difference.
But men
between,
also love,
What do men love?
the
Plenty
female
of
No,
dogs.
I'm just thinking to myself. So if we have good husbands, does that make us jerks?
If you well,
There's no way to win this one.
no comment. But no, what I do want to say is, with what would you say? Because we all know it's scientifically proven that confidence is very attractive. There was a study done that there was a poll taken that many people said that yes, they're attracted to confidence. But what would you say is the difference between confidence and arrogance / cockiness?
Okay, can I say this one?
Yeah,
Yes.
go ahead.
I am very into humbleness. Okay, so as much as I love confidence in a person, I admire humbleness even more. If I see a confident person who has the need to be flashy, who has the need to express and expose everything he owns to the world, the richest cars and the biggest houses, and just walk out there like I'm all
bling.
confident, look at me and what I achieved.
Confident or arrogant?
Confidence sometimes leads to arrogance,
see.
okay? I like confidence where I know what I want, but I'm humble about it. I'm achieving my success, but at the same time, I'm also down to earth. So that type of confidence, I am very attracted to. But the confidence in which I'm so confident that I can conquer everything and now I have an ego about it, it's very unattractive.
I agree 100,000%.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. For our
Last question.
last question. Oh, this one is gonna be for all of them. Here we go. But who's taking this one away?
Let's see what the
Okay.
question is.
Why? Oh, this is such a. Why do you say I'm fine when really you're not fine.
Can I say
And
this
what does
first?
I'm
I'm
fine
so
mean?
excited. I'm
Yes,
actually
yes,
going to take this
yes.
one. I never say I'm fine if I'm not fine.
Ooh.
I no longer do that as well.
Right.
Okay.
I will not
I used
say
to.
I'm fine if I'm not fine. That's why I want to take that one, and I want to say why. I don't believe in holding things inside. I don't believe in trying to put a band-aid and say, how are you feeling? Oh, I'm fine. But meanwhile, I'm not fine. I'm upset about a situation. I was hurt with what someone said to me. I felt disrespected in my own way. Whatever the situation is, if you're not fine, you may need some time to really cool off, to not answer right away so that you don't say something that you're going to end up regretting. But once that, like, and make it short, don't make it like a week or 2 months. Like, let's say that one day settles and you feel better, you woke up. It's important to pick up the phone and to actually communicate that. Now, be careful. Some people, when you communicate and say, I'm not fine with what you did, right? Some people will take that very offensively. Some people don't take that as a criticism. They start to really like get intimidated and they're like, oh my God, what do you mean? Why are you so sensitive? With that, I have learned if those are the kind of people you're dealing with, yes, you're just let it go. But we're talking about the really important people in your life, like your husband, your mother-in-law, whoever else is very important in your life. Notice how I said mother-in-law and you're like, what? How is she very important? But yes, she's very important in your life. If something bothers you, form a relationship where you can openly express it in a very respectful way, because it's really not good to build up feelings, especially with your husband and wife. If your husband did something to you and you're not fine about it, and then you go to sleep, and then he does the same thing again a month later because you kept quiet the first time, and then it builds up and builds up and builds up.
Resentment, yeah.
You will end up not liking each other. It's going to be here, a heavy burden. So that question really, truly shouldn't even be a question, because I really think so against it. Don't say you're fine if you're not fine. Esther P.A., what can you say with this?
I really think that there's this passive aggressive behavior that some women do, where, I mean, I have seen myself fall into that trap where if, let's say, my husband's reaching out for me and genuinely wants to know what's going on, and I'm like, I'm fine. What I'm trying to do is like control the power by saying like, I'm not telling you and I'm gonna make you suffer and think about what it is that I'm not fine about. That's not right to him. That's not right to you in the relationship, because there's no conflict resolution in that conversation. It's just, harboring the like you said, the resentment, holding that in the relationship. I mean, and you'll agree with me as medical professionals, if there's anything in your body that's stagnant, it's cancer, it's producing this inflammation. Yes, there's the body is in constant flow. It's the same thing with a relationship. There has to be constant flow. If there's like you're holding that space and it's negative and you're tight, you're not releasing it, it's like you can't. Eventually something's got to give. You can't be constipated forever. You can't have a clot. There has to be blood flow. There has to be movement. And the same thing with that relationship. If it's not, it doesn't lead to anywhere with progress. And that's something that you have to be willing to understand, that that's your power. It's not your partner's responsibility to teach you how to communicate. It's his responsibility to communicate effectively, and it's your responsibility to take ownership for your opportunity to communicate. You can't just be expecting him to be responsible for the both of you.
It's not just with partners though. Like, I think we can all relate, as much as everybody sees us doing this show, right? And everybody always will say like, you guys are so great together, the show is awesome, there's so like the chemistry and everybody has so much to offer, we love your show. FYI, behind the scenes, we also don't always agree with everything. And sometimes things are not fine because somebody crossed the line or somebody said something offensive. And this is why I specifically said what I said. The fact that if let's say somebody said something while we were even planning a show, right? And that was like, oh my God, you hurt my feelings. You weren't sensitive, but I didn't mean it that way. And I will walk away, for example, and I don't address that I felt hurt, or Avi doesn't address that he felt hurt, or Esther, or whoever it is, right? And then we kind of will sit and dwell on that till the next episode. Meanwhile, nobody knows that this person is hurt by something, right? And then you'd say or do something, that person was already hurt. How are we supposed to know that? We're not mind readers. So amongst each other, we feel comfortable to say, hey, what you did was wrong. what you did was hurtful. You crossed the line when you did that. Sometimes it will be like awkward, like, really? Why are you taking offense by that? But I'm sure that we appreciate that about one another, that, hey, you call me out when something isn't right. You make sure I know about it. And it's a very, very respectable thing when you know that your friend, it's not just a husband and wife situation, amongst friends. You know how I choose my friends? A lot of people in the world, we know a lot of people, we're acquaintances. But my friends, my true friends, are people that can tolerate me when I pick up the phone and I say, hey, what you did was not sensitive. I was hurt by what you said. When I'm able to feel like I have the ability to vocalize my feelings, and that friend who I'm telling it to doesn't take it like criticism. She says, hey, I really wasn't sensitive. And she could do the same thing to me, and I'll say, wow, it's true. Maybe I didn't see things on her perspective. I wasn't looking at things the way she was looking at things. When somebody can do that, for me, that's a friend. And that's why I don't need a lot of friends. I don't. I can have 3 friends. But those are people that I know when I call them and I tell them, you hurt me when you did that. I know I could do that freely and comfortably. So if we walk away with any message besides the importance of a cleaning lady, which our show really
I mean, I walked away with so many messages. I don't know what you were talking about, but I do want to say,
He's gonna come home.
in honor, I mean, I think my wife will thank all of you guys, but what I do want to say is, in honor of Women's Day, I wanted to personally really congratulate and say, well, do I congratulate or what's the proper way? But just to say,
like
happy Women's Day. Thank you so much for everything that you do, and to be able to share this platform and really learn so much from every single one of you.
Was awesome.
I was really inspired,
Thank
you know,
Esther.
to be a housewife and to take care of kids and also work and like you said, you know, be a hustler. I'm really inspired. So Esther, thank you so much for joining us on this show. Again, if you want a good laugh, if you just want to feel awesome, check her page out. It's on Instagram, MommyRN88. It is hilarious. Now I know there are people reaching out in terms of the game. Because of lack of time, we didn't have a chance to play the game, the second game that we brought, but we will play next week. Please stay tuned. By the way, for the people that asked in private message about the book that I was talking about, it's called Questions for Couples. It looks like this. You can buy it on Amazon. It's 469 thought-provoking questions. If you think you know your spouse, get this book. It is uncensored. I mean, don't have this book around, you know, kids, because it really talks about the relationship. It talks about intimacy. It talks about love and money and communication and a whole bunch of different things.
Cool.
So
Before
yeah.
we end, I will shout them out one more time because you sponsored us.
Oh yes.
You recognize
Yeah.
us as a show. So
Cheers.
Friends International. What's the phone number, Esther?
Guys,
Yeah.
718-969-4226.
They want it in a Joe Pesci. They asked for a Joe Pesci impersonation.
Oh,
Can you do
yes.
it?
I can't do an impersonation, but I'll do a skit.
Do a skit. Okay, here we go.
Not right now. Live?
Oh, yeah, live. Do it live.
I can't do that. I'm funny. There's too many F-bombs.
All right,
Guys,
guys.
this
Well,
was so much
check
fun.
her out.
If
Thank
you
you,
have
guys.
any suggestions for future episodes as far as guests,
Yeah.
we're always looking for entertaining guests. If you have any suggestions for topics of the show, your questions, and also feedback is
Yes, feedback is
very
always
much
welcome.
appreciated, because you know what? Just like food is for our body, comments are for our soul. So
Right.
feed our souls. Give us your comments and
Yeah.
feedback. And
Thank
once again, thank you all for
Thank
tuning
you so
in.
Thank you, guys.
much.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.